Okay, these are the bids we opened.
These
There's
were,
a recommendation for notice of award from Great West and also the actual notice of award from Great West.
Have you got, or,
They're on DocuSign.
Yeah, they're both on DocuSign. I reviewed both of them, Roger, and I'm good with them.
okay, so you're making a motion that we. sign that
I'll
one.
make a motion that we accept both of the notices that presented today in Road and Bridge.
And I'll second that, sign them as soon in there, so you have a copy of those. Okay, the other thing, I know we have a citizen on here that has a concern out on 65th, but these will be pretty quick. So I've read the proposed findings. I don't have any issue with it.
Okay.
On this one.
Yeah. I read them as well, and I would make a motion that we approve the findings.
Let's have her read them on the record.
Okay.
First. Then we'll-
All right, Michelle Hagan. So this is a matter that comes before the Bonneville County Commissioners as a request to amend the zoning ordinance on parcels of land from G-1 Grazing to RA2 Residential Agriculture. Request is being made by Stonewood Investments LLC and Comore Loma Water Corporation on property located on the north and south sides of Middle Fork Road, south of 49 and east of the transmission line and east of the existing Comore Loma subdivision. The Planning and Zoning Board heard this matter on January 26, 2022, and recommended approval of the rezone request on a unanimous vote. The subsequent hearing was held by the County Commissioners on March 9th, 2022. And after having reviewed the testimony, the zoning ordinance and the comp plan, the reference information submitted, the Commissioners makes the following findings. Do you want me to read more or just skip to the end?
Just skip to the conclusions.
All right. And conclusions. So I'm going to E. The comprehensive plan of Bonneville County requires that we are to protect the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. It has been determined by this board that the proposed use could affect the local residents unless appropriate steps are taken to mitigate any potential adverse effects, present or future. The approval of this amendment will be conditioned upon the following facts. 1, that street lighting will be provided. 2, that adequate paving be installed to meet the requirement of the county, and that an appropriate central system be built adequate to provide for the potable water, irrigation, and fire flow will be installed within the development. 4, that a sewer plan be submitted that will meet the short and long term of the area and comply with health regulations. 5, that whereas the average lot size is required to be 2 acres, that individual septic tanks will be considered as opposed to requiring a community system. And F, the developer must submit and have approved a subdivision plat prior to construction to verify compliance with requirements as specified in this decision. The road network shall be designed and engineered in a manner that minimizes impact on long-term road maintenance and snow removal, as well as the continuation of the future road network. Decision based on the above facts is the decision of the Bonneville County Commissioners that the request for the amendment from G1 to RA2 be approved.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have no questions. Do you, Brian?
I don't have any questions. I would now make that motion that we approve.
Okay, I'll send it, second it. Could we use your stamp?
I went ahead and signed it on DocuSign.
On DocuSign. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do that also. Okay, thanks.
Or you can use my stamp if that's more convenient.
Sign works pretty good.
I'll email to you.
Okay, I think that's it.
Do you want me to
If you want to go back to your shirt.
or talk about any of those? Okay.
We'll talk about those staff levels, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to remember your name. You're on mute, if you could unmute.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah. I could see the name, but it's small enough up there, I can't read it.
Yeah, it's Louis and Gloria Valenti.
Okay, they live out off 65th South. And they had a question because of all the truck traffic and everything from the gravel pits and all the construction out there about Jake brakes being used because, and I don't know what the requirements or if we have an ordinance or, you know, because I guess there's a lot of it out there. with
Roger.
everything.
We live on 67 South 15th West and just south of the intersection of 65th and Jamestown Road. Same thing as South 15th West. The reason we talked to you, and thank you for letting us come in and attend the meeting, because of the heavy truck traffic between the H&K pit and the agricultural trucks that go back and forth in all four directions. And knife, they're using the compression brakes constantly to the point where we can't even hear ourselves inside our house, and we live 2 houses down from the intersection. So that's it in a nutshell. We can explain more. We don't know about any ordinances, but we'd sure like to see some signs in all directions on the intersection.
Before the intersection.
Yeah, on the intersection, asking not to use those brakes.
And yeah, I have no idea what we have in ordinance or anything.
Either I'd have to do some research. and see.
Yeah. And
Also,
that's-
I might add something. A part of South 15th West, in fact, right in front of our house, down to Albertson's house. That's the next street, next house south of us. That is now designated city. And they're using them on this street too. We were told by a city officer, I don't have his name right now on me, that this was,
Jurisdiction of the city
yeah, now.
for police patrol. And we don't understand the difference between their jurisdiction and county designation, but we
I
just
mean,
thought
we
we'd
don't-
point that out.
We don't see a cop very rarely, but you know, that's what he told us.
We're very aware of that city development that's sprawling way out there and probably,
Right, I like,
Ivy Wood, yeah.
yeah, but that's good to know because we have no jurisdiction to put Jake brake restrictions on if it's the city, only if it's the county. And they're
Okay.
if annexed to the city, so we could probably coordinate with them. But I don't know countywide. I don't think this has ever been brought up about the use of Jake brakes.
I can't think of any signs we have anywhere that. talk
I mean,
about
that's just a small section here on South 15th West. The South 15th West going north across 65th is still county, and of course 65th is county.
Right. We're trying to work with the city to annex those and fix them up because they're putting a lot of traffic on substandard county road.
You are right.
That's correct.
But let's, maybe let us do a little homework on that, you know, because whatever we put in place can't be specifically for a couple little sections of road. It has to be to where it can be put in any place in the county. You know, you can't make zoning and ordinances specific to just one intersection.
Understand.
You know, I
So-
don't see any reason that they start putting their Jake brakes on at H and K, just past H and K, and they just lay on them all the way to the intersection.
We've
Was that a lot?
done, go
Was that
ahead.
a lot of trucks?
Yes,
We had an instance last year where they applied the brakes a half mile on the south side of 15th West going north. We actually called the company, said, there's no reason for that. I mean, he laid on those brakes all the way to the stop sign. And they're doing that. And that seems to be a consistent use in that manner on the intersection here in all four directions. And the reason we say that is we hear from 5 a.m., even earlier in the morning till later at night. And we haven't done it. It's too hard for us to go out there and take numbers, but you know, we're not just saying this because it's all one or two. It happens on a daily basis almost.
about a week ago or week and a half ago, Knife must have had a job using the belly dumps. And they were hauling, looked like gravel or something. Anyway, instead of coming and going across the railroad tracks and up Yellowstone, they came up South 15th West to the intersection of 65th and applied their Jacob brakes. And I mean, it was loud between them and the others. It was a horrible day. We couldn't even go outside. We couldn't even talk.
Well, 2 or 3 things we can work on, you know, if you can get a hold of City Public Works and see if they have any ordinances and let them know the problem. And then maybe also it wouldn't hurt to make a phone call to H&K and Knife River, because I know they've got that exit that goes out onto the highway, and you know, that was part of the zoning thing, and I think that's what they're supposed to be using a lot of, isn't it?
They don't.
The other two businesses, sorry, are Ag Supply and the Budweiser ag business. It used to be Modelo, but they have a lot of trucks that go in and out of those two industrial places on a consistent basis. And
Those are the ones that are using their brakes too.
also, you know,
Also, they're also using the horns. Because sometimes to make a turn, they have to tell the traffic in alternate directions to move because they can't make that turn. It's, you know, the road is so narrow.
Well, maybe Austin, you could check with Knife River, because I think that was a condition on their plat, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's different accesses there.
Just check and let us work on that, and we'll find out if we have a Jake brake ordinance. I doubt it, you know, where it hasn't been brought up before. You know, then we'll have to figure out if it's something we could enforce, because you can make an ordinance, but enforcement sometimes is difficult.
Right.
You know, or if we can just kind of, sometimes you put the ordinance there as an encouragement for them to self-enforce, you know, before we post it. So there's a few options we'll discuss. And I think I've still got your phone number. So as soon as we, probably in the next week or two, we can do a little homework.
What's your address again?
6767 South 15th West. And you are?
I am David Romrell, Assistant Public Works Director.
And will you be getting in contact with us later?
One of us will, either
Okay.
Roden or me, or, you know, because
I'd like to give you my phone number too, because sometimes my husband is away from his phone and doesn't keep it on all the time.
or the Jake brake's going off and he can't hear it, right?
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So my number is 208-351-7131.
Hey, Roger,
Uh-huh.
I was just doing a little research here. The city does have an ordinance. It's ordinance number 2407 that says no person while operating a motor vehicle within the city may apply a Jake brake or engine compression brake. Anyway, that's their ordinance that deals with that. So for that portion that's in the city, that would have some effect, but I assume the Idaho Falls Public Works would need to put the signs up there, right?
Yeah, if they could do that, it might kind of slow it down.
Yeah, it might help on all the corners. So the city does have that ordinance.
I
Yeah.
thought they did.
Our difficult thing is having an ordinance that broad, you know, that
Yeah.
says no breaks any place in the county. It'd be difficult because we are an ag area and, you know, this is a problem with the interface between the city and the county growth.
You know, there is no reason that they're applying them from the intersection of Yellowstone and 65th coming this way to, you know, to the next intersection, because they can't get a lot of speed up. I mean, there's only like 0.7 of a mile. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason for them to use those Jake brakes, to me.
When we looked at some of the trucking industry sites, you know, of course, they say that the compression brakes are only an assist type of mechanism. But these guys, one, they don't have the mufflers on the end of their pipes, which you can tell. I'm not a CDL driver, but I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what they're doing. And two, they either don't understand how to drive their rigs, which is probably, they wouldn't like me telling them that. But you can tell from the way they're driving that, one, they're not using it correctly, they're not using the right equipment, and they're not trained correctly, you know. But the only other thing I can think of is that, you know, some sort of talking with the industrial places and asking them to tell their drivers, which we have done a year or two ago. We talked to Budweiser and they said they have asked their drivers not to use those brakes, you know, in such a ridiculous manner.
But that hasn't come true.
But, you know, that only is temporary fix.
Yeah.
And when we can hear them inside our house and with doors closed, it turns out to be an issue and a problem that we think needs to be addressed.
Okay, well, we've got three or four different avenues. We can kind of try to work on all of them and see if we can find not the total solution, but ways to alleviate the problem. So,
Okay.
okay, we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Well, I appreciate you addressing it and letting us talk.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
What else we got?
No, I do not.
A few,
You got a copy of,
yeah, I've got that.
okay, I sent that to Lance also,
Yes.
because some of the things they're asking, I want your input, you know, like they want us to use eminent domain. Okay, what are the conditions of that? You know, because you can't put that in an area of impact agreement and cede our authority to do that.
To use eminent domain, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've got at least two commissioners in this meeting that are very reluctant to do that. But they're trying to set these conditions because they're basically saying, you know, and I appreciate Jim Freeman, because right at the end, I don't know if you caught that, Bryon, you know, right at the end, he basically admitted that's what tanked it before.
Yeah.
Was them passing that policy and not letting us know for a year, you know. They kept trying to portray it as we did all this work and the county just tossed it out. But this is the list of things they came up with, and we may have some other questions on that.
No, and just in reviewing their list on, you know, the expansion of the area of impact, compatibility with land use, things like that, from a planning perspective, I don't know if we're going to take the approach that we're kind of heading forward with our comprehensive plan, I don't know that that's really a huge deal to expand their area of impact a little bit, maybe on the south side or.
Well, that's the thing, they just, the blanket, are you willing to
Yeah.
make it larger?
Yeah, and where, we would want specifics. What other ground are you asking for? The compatibility with the land use within the area of impact. Well, if we're gonna try to put the growth in the city, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have at least the areas within the area of impact on the south be compatible with whatever their residential is, especially to their point of if they're going to extend services without having to annex, then we could utilize those to do developments to the city, basically to the city subdivision standard in that area.
Which
So,
we offered before.
yeah,
And then what killed it is they weren't willing to extend the services,
Yeah.
and they told us a year later. But also inside of that, they need to be willing to look at areas that they are not going to grow in and make modifications there
yeah, and pull back.
and pull back.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no reason to have those in an area of impact.
Yeah, you're right. It's very blanket, which there
Yeah.
are things we would work with them on, but I don't know that it's not gonna be like Christmas Day, just give them whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that concerned me is the comment in there that, will you acknowledge that the current area of impact is in effect? You know, they may have some question on that. And I had a question, I talked to John Radford about that. He said he's read the statute, and there's no obligation on the city planning commission side to participate. I thought it had to go through the city planning commission also,
For comp plan or
area
even,
of impact.
it does.
Okay, that's what
I
I
don't, I
thought.
think he's misunderstanding that because both the boards have to get together and
Right,
negotiate.
and they're.
Unless they're just gonna try to go right to city council, I would have to look at that again, but
Well, they could make that request, they could make that request of us, but I'm not willing to do that.
no.
There's a statutory process and it's healthy. And I think to have those vetted between the two planning commissions. The
That's what we
comment-
just did when we did it with City of Hammond. We had the planning commissions get together.
Yeah, the
when
comment
we
was
were
made
negotiating.
is these are volunteers and we're just not gonna waste their time. The first area of impact, the one that's over 20 years old, took us 3.5 years
To agree on.
to agree on, and it was a lot of hard work. I mean, we had lengthy meetings, but we at least came up with one. So anyway,
Well,
think through that and then glance
yeah.
on the road bridge side of it. You know, there's things like, because I can see, for example, if you're doing a road improvement that they're going to pay for and they need some additional width, but it'd have to be on our terms, because when we go after right away, we'll do everything we can to engineer it as far away and make the take as small as possible. And we won't go to the 120-foot standard that they like to go to, which makes the take really big.
Right.
Some of those could be worked, but it'd have to be one of those may, not shalls.
Yeah, there's some things to think about with this for sure.
Have you ever dealt with any of this down in Bingham County and Blackfoot?
Impact areas, a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah, they were dealing with Blackfoot, I think they still are. They're getting close, but yeah, it's a back and forth and a lot of meetings. Give and take.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know, Brian, you kind of wanted to have us get together and go through a lot of these, and we'll come up with our own list and send it back over, and then it's up to them.
Yeah,
There's gonna be some things in there that the council may want to go forward, but it'd be hard to convince the mayor, because they're not gonna get everything they want.
yeah, no, I think we need to put an answer on each one of those questions, no matter what it is, and then send it back over to them.
And
And-
come up with questions of our own.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
answer questions with a question, like on the, is the county willing to expand the area of impact? Well, what is the city looking for? What is the city willing to give for expansion? You know,
Yeah.
up with a list of things for them to answer, because they're kind of wanting us to blanket statement it, and then they'll come in and say, well, you said, you know, when we go to those meetings or
Right.
try to do anything.
What's the comment they made at the end of, or about, is this area of impact still valid?
It says, are the city and county in agreement that the terms of the existing area of impact are in effect?
See, that's a hard one to answer because they've pretty much ignored
Which
the terms.
I think from our side, we've tried to get them to keep it in effect and still implement it, going back to what they just did with the comprehensive plan and wanting the input to be, you know, try to be compatible, things like that. So I think we've, from a zoning perspective, when people come in and want to develop, one of the things in the area of impact is if they're within the area of impact and adjacent to the city, they have to go talk to the city first. We still make people do that. So we uphold a lot of it on our end. I don't know if we do everything, but we try to.
Well, we do it within reason.
Yeah.
Because we had those issues where it was taking months and months and months to get an answer back.
Yeah.
So it's got to be in a reasonable time, or you're
Reasonable
basically
time frame.
taking somebody's rights away from them.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I think we could have that list together for, you know, the next meeting as an agenda item.
Okay.
And just to them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, but we'll want to get our list and our answers and our questions back to them maybe within the next couple of weeks, huh? So we can keep the process going.
We want to make sure it's pretty complete before we do.
Yeah. What do you think? I was looking on our calendar, Wednesday and Thursday, and for the last 2 weeks in the month, there's 5 weeks that month in June are open in our afternoons. Do you want to have Kayla send a email over to them and say, you know, the county's recommending these dates, which one works?
Are we in BOEs by then and budgets?
What month did you say?
Well, we were thinking June is what was brought up last night. We go into BOEs in
Think-
July, right?
It's the second week of, like the last week of June, I want to say, into the second week of July. It starts the 27th of June.
So what if we recommend it starts the 22nd of June? Oh, wow.
27th, that Monday.
Oh, the 27th. Okay. So we could do either the 15th, 16th, or 22nd, and 23rd. Those are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Our afternoons are open.
They've apparently got some AIC meetings in June sometime.
They said that was July. That's
Was it
why they
July?
wanted to have the meeting in June.
And when's our commissioners meeting in? I think that's important.
It's like the 8th and 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can throw it out there. But I really want to make sure, you know, we've got this as complete as possible and not have to go back and change it. You know, I appreciate you want to get it to them 2 or 3 months ahead. I want to remind you how much notice we got on this one.
Yeah.
Days over a weekend, and this was just basically presented to us in the meeting.
Yeah, no, that's true. I agree.
Yeah, when I saw this today, I went to look because I just looked at the email and said for our meeting today. So I was thinking, I went and looked at your agenda. I'm like, oh, that must already happen.
Yeah, no, that's for this meeting.
Yeah.
And we've got to have quite a few discussions on how we want to proceed with this.
Yeah.
To have a good answer back for them, because if they're not happy with the answers you give, it's like John Radford said, maybe we can agree on 80%. Well, it depends on what the other 20% are, probably on both sides.
Right.
Pretty much what they've come around to is everything we were insisting on before. They need to extend services to have it built so they can annex. And then there's a request for annexation. But then another question is, if we expand the area of impact, are they going to agree not to annex outside of the area of impact? I think that's a fair question.
Yeah,
Area.
Well,
it's probably good that this is all coming up at the same time that we're working on our comprehensive plan, honestly, because they kind of go hand in hand. So.
Well, and are you inviting anybody from the city as you work through it?
Haven't been yet.
Well, it might not hurt to extend the invitation. Because going back to this, do we intend to live by they haven't. I mean, do they intend to live by the terms of it? You can't pick and choose.
you,
Yeah.
Kayla, do you want to send them those proposed dates, 15th, 16th, or 22nd and 23rd afternoons, and see what they come up with?
And for it to be here,
Be here, yeah.
okay. Do you have time frames you want?
You want to go like 1 to 3, Roger? Or?
I think so. That seems to work best.
Okay,
And then we can, if they don't have any conflicts, we can send out a doodle poll and see when the majority of them would want it.
okay.
Or we could just find out if they're available and do the same thing they did, just schedule it.
Yeah. I kind of lean toward doing that. Let's just see if they can say, yeah, they're available, nothing on those dates and times. That gives them 4 options. And then we just schedule it. That's what they did to us this time.
Okay.
Austin.
Yeah.
I brought it up yesterday with Roger, but at your planning and zoning meeting last Wednesday night, sounds like you went kind of late. My brother actually showed up and wanted to get in the meeting because his daughter was doing that horse arena.
Yeah.
And he got in late on a flight and drove over there about 10 o'clock. And he said every door was locked to get in the building. There was no way he could get in. They had closed the entrance. So
Security left too quick.
Yeah, security left, I think, at like 9 because they
Okay.
thought everyone was through.
Based on the reason we started doing that, and we'll probably have this other building going by fall. Maybe back to, because you don't want to run the risk of locking somebody out.
Locking them out of the building.
So maybe we just go back to lack of security until we get over to the other building.
Yeah, or have them stay longer. I think they assumed because all the meetings were scheduled at 7:30, the last meeting was supposed to start. So I think they just assumed that.
But then the question is, do we really need it?
Yeah.
They were also, somebody had a question about improving the electronics and stuff in the P&Z room. Told them probably not. They continue to use this one.
Yeah.
Until we get over the other.
That's what I thought because of the other building.
was it the meeting was online?
Yeah.
So that's a question. Well, no, you still have to have the meeting location open. The public still.
That makes sense. I didn't really think about that. Wendy sent me an email, but I saw it like 9 that said I sent the front door person home because we think everyone's in, but.
Well, let's talk to her about it. Just quietly change it back.
Yeah, and most of the time it's not a big deal because we don't go that late. There are just so many people here for Cam's Heart that went all night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Called Natalie yesterday that had wanted to meet with you guys on Serenity Lane. We've talked about that before, Brian. That was when Roger was out. I don't know if you remember that. But
Yeah.
basically, the road's like 1,200 feet, or probably longer than that, like 2,000 feet long already. And he wants to terminate it in a permanent dead end cul-de-sac. Lance's,
That's Comore Loma.
yeah, right below. Lance's opinion kind of was, well, I don't really know where the road's gonna go, so we went back and looked into it. There's some other cul-de-sacs in the area that are longer, and what we had them do was basically put an easement off the end that if the road ever needed to be extended, there was a path where it could be on the property.
Isn't this the one that drops off so steep that they can't build?
Not there, no, this is lower and it goes up. And there is some terrain there, but not too steep that they couldn't get a road through. So the guy wanted to come talk to you about being able to terminate that. I just called him yesterday afternoon and I said, hey, let's see if we can work this out. I said, we can go talk to the commissioners if we need to. I kind of told him what we've done in the area with having those future easements. Basically, they put a turnaround, but there's a future easement that at some point the road could be extended if needed. And I told him, I just said, you know, there's reasons for this, but part of the reason in your case is everything around you is zoned residential agricultural too. If you ever decided that you wanted to come in and rezone the property or be able to file an amended plat, to put another lot in there, you're gonna have road extension to service that other lot or future lots. And he's talking about buying the property north of him too, which would really only be accessible if he extended the road up through there, through that easement. And so I talked to him about that a little bit. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like, I'm still not a big fan of the easement, but what you've explained to me works and we're happy to do whatever we need to do. So we're just going to proceed forward with him doing the permanent turnaround, but he'll have an easement that he could extend it at a future date if it was ever needed. We're consistent with what we've done in the area, if you guys are okay with that.
I think it's better working through
Yeah.
that than bringing it to the
Yeah.
conclusion. You know,
Yeah, so that was all taken care of. I just wanted to let you know that his name's Brandon Bloxham, if he ever calls that, but we got it worked out, so.
Okay, good.
And then Brian, I was just gonna ask you, when you went to that BMPO meeting with Lance a while back, was there talk about putting me on there instead of Steve?
Yeah, they said there's no problem. There's no requirement for the policy board to take any action on that. So I think you just show up and tell them you're the new Steve.
Okay. Just wanted to check on that.
Yeah, they said that was fine.
Perfect.
hey. Get all the roads open,
Yeah,
probably drying out pretty good, all that wind.
yeah, I'm sure that's helping.
60 miles an hour ought to dry things
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Take on.
and no snow.
Oh, I did need to bring up one other thing. In fact, I need to get a hold of Craig Daniels. Mike Toller, my neighbor that fishes Ryrie all the time, and has weighed in on opening the road into there and keeping that road open. He's got a couple of things going on. Number one, he's organized a fairly large group on Saturday to meet up there and pick up garbage in those neighboring fields where people have been parking and riding snowmobiles across. So he's got that going on. And he's talked to the landowners up there and told them what he's doing. I mean, he's working really hard to try to keep that thing working good. Excuse me. The second thing that we may have to look at, he said, because that lake is so low right now, he was trying to fish it a couple of times last week, and he said the Willow Creek arm and the Meadow Creek arm is so muddy that he said you can't even fish it. And he said it's causing some really bad erosion on the banks with this high winds that we've been having, you know. And the point that he was making is, he said, when that lake is full, the ski boats, you know, and the wakeboard boats aren't as big of issue as when it's so low, when it's high. When it's so low, he said, they cause a tremendous amount of damage and erosion. And he said, then you add the winds onto it, that just natural erosion. He said it's unusually muddy for this time of year. And he believes that we should try to do something to keep the boats off of it, you know, the ski boats off of those arms when the water level's at a certain, you know, depth, like it is now, a certain percentage. He said, if you could just keep them out of those two arms, they could have the rest of the lake and not cause as much damage. I don't know what we want to do. I'll call Craig and talk to him about it, but
Well, the question is when those arms narrow up because of that, they're probably, the whole thing is in a no wake zone. Aren't they?
yeah, that might be, according to our laws. That's right. I need to talk to Sam about it, but he wanted to take me up there, and I probably will try to go up there with him, meet Craig, but he said it is really bad right now.
Is it
He said he's
expected,
never seen it that muddy.
is it expected that it'll even get much fuller? I mean, I don't know that we're gonna have a ton of runoff.
You know, Craig is projecting that they'll be out of blacktail by 1st of August this year.
Because it'll be so low. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, I think Palisades and Blacktail both, it's probably gonna be a really rough water year anyways.
Yeah, it is. I'll get a hold of Craig. Might be something we're gonna have to deal with.
Okay,
Thank you.
go take your inhaler.
Yeah, yeah. In these days of post-COVID, I just hate to be coughing around people, but I actually took a COVID test and it's not COVID. I just got a bug.
Okay.
I got something in my lungs.
Get feeling better.
Yeah, I will. Thanks.
Only allowed to have one of us sick at a time, so. All right. You can stop that, Kayla.